Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to control. So, we found a oddly scaled model of our city ordinary with a lot of destructible environment, and then we had a fire fight in it against the boss. It's really largely scaled for no reason, and as far as I can tell. And we're looking for the slide projector, which apparently is the object of power that gave me Polaris and got Dylan caught as Prime Candidate 6 by the Bureau of Control and got me spied on for the rest of my life. Why they took Dylan in and raised him and then left me to, I guess, mostly live on the streets seems odd. We're going to the ordinary dump site. Let's just look for collectibles. And I imagine the ordinary dump site might be a 1-to-1 scale replica, or they might have just moved the dump site, although it'd be kind of hard to move a dump site. There'd just be, can't just scoop it up. Although if you have magic, objects of power, you probably could do it.
You mentioned a poem last time we talked.
Apparently they had
Yes.
me talking to a
Beyond the
psychologist that
shadowy
was
subtle
trying to
form.
gaslight me.
There's a miracle illuminated. I looked the poem up. Only I couldn't find any poet by that name. I did find a European filmmaker who moved here in the 60s, named Thomas Zane. What? I don't know. No matter. It suits you very well. The poem. How you see things. Maybe you wrote it yourself? I didn't. No matter. You've said a few times that you feel like there's a piece of you missing.
Sounds
Can
like
we
Jesse
talk about
might be
that?
from a different
Okay.
universe,
Yeah,
which
It's
would make some
this-
sense. I don't think it
feel-
matters much, though.
an emptiness, a yearning for something that I think I lost. It's
Yeah, I'm not sure
natural for you to
Jesse
feel that
Faden
way.
is a real human at
Your
all,
brother
and
your parents
she isn't
are
just
dead.
Polaris
No,
completely.
Dylan's not dead. And that's not even it. You're referring to the imaginary friend from your childhood? Polaris. She's come back. After a long time, she's calling me. In a dream I saw,
What's weird is there was a Quantic
she
Dream
showed
game,
me
I believe,
Jesse,
that
it felt more real than anything.
was
As real
very
as what
similar
happened
to
in
this.
ordinary.
A psychic
The industrial
woman
accident in your hometown
who had a
that you
kind of
believe
ghost.
Polaris caused. No, it wasn't an accident. There was
So
no
they're kind of
industrial
stealing the
accident, and
same
Polaris
generic
didn't cause it.
idea.
She saved me and Dylan.
Beyond Two Souls, I
No.
believe is the name of that game.
It was a cover-up. The government knows about it.
That
There
game
were
jumped around
agents there.
a lot in
Agents
time
from-
frames,
I
showing
don't
like
know
a full
exactly. They took
life
Dylan.
of the main
They-
character.
I'll find them. I won't stop looking.
There might be an argument towards that
wants me
idea.
to go to New York. There's a building there. I have to leave soon. I have to be there at a very specific time. Something hugely important is going to happen. Jesse, you know we can't let you go until you're well. And that begins by understanding what's real and what's imagined.
So the question comes down to, is the psychiatrist who's talking to her incompetent or in on it? It would be funny if you could zoom in on this a little bit better, which I can't. And you would see like the psychiatrist's name, but I don't think they even said it out loud. Oh man, we're still running into a lot of lagging. Yeah, if we were to just look here for a second. I used the GeForce Experience to set up this game. I would have had a base render resolution of 1080p. NVIDIA DLSS I probably have. Brightness, I think until the left icon is not visible and the middle icon is barely visible and the right icon is clearly visible. Well, I don't see a left icon, and clearly visible is debatable. Like, honestly, even that is only slightly too bright. That's where I turn up the brightness by at least 4%. No, more than 4. That was like 14%. And this is where they had it by default. I would have gone with a quality preset of just high instead of custom. I probably would not have the texture resolution at ultra. I probably would have everything else here at high. Maybe SSAO, ambient occlusion, does often require a lot of processing power. MSAA here, even by their own use, is turned off. Film grain, normally I don't turn any of that off. I would try ray tracing, but I think ray tracing, even at its highest setting, let's see, yeah, even at its highest setting, ray tracing is not particularly good. And see, if you change the brightness, you're going to be even more bright and blown out in areas like this where it is brightly lit. So it's not really a issue of the brightness as much as it is the dynamic ambient range you have here of the dynamic range of not colors per se or audio, but the dynamic range of just how black is black and how white is white in kind of a color profile setup. And it's really construction decisions they made. The idea that this light is going to have no effect in this corner, or that light is going to have no effect in this corner. Where are we going? Yeah, there's really only a couple other areas on this floor, so we're approaching the end, I imagine. Thought we might have a checkpoint here. And see, this is clearly supposed to blind you. Yeah, I guess if you have objects of power.
Whole landfill here in the middle of New York, and nobody saw a thing. Pretty unbelievable.
I don't feel like we have. So this is urgent messages. The rest just go to floor 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there are only 4 floors in this game. I thought there was going to be 5. That's weird. Alright. So almost certainly we're going to find some collectibles on the edge, and we're going to get attacked by something. It might be a big black ball that we can't really fight, and you just have to avoid. Again, this area should not be that dark. Light bounces around, and the ray tracing concept is around that idea that light bounces around. Here's a refrigerator like the one that we're supposed to find somebody to replace the guy who was watching the refrigerator. Alright. Fire. I don't know if fire is going to actually hurt me or not. This guy doesn't seem like he's much of a challenge. Some of these enemies definitely feel like they are designed in such a way that they are more of a challenge than depending on how you attack them. Yeah, collecting that in the middle of the fight was not an intelligent move. I can't dash. This is one of these fights where it's too many people more than it's too strong people. But yeah, these kamikaze guys, on top of a lot of guys that want to just throw things at me, on top of a lot of other guys. Where will I reload after this death? We're still following the tradition where you have to die in every fight. There's no way out of that. And this put me back here, which puts me back here, and which then makes me fight. Like, the game is literally punishing me for dying, because now there's this other group that's gonna throw things at me, and because they're throwing things at me, they're going to do a little bit of damage before I... Wow, lag. Yeah, they're gonna do a little bit of damage before I can even get to the fight that I want to fight, which is over here. There's no reason why there shouldn't have been a checkpoint here. Doesn't have to be a fast travel. You can totally create...
Moved the whole landfill here.
You can create checkpoints without putting fast travel points.
Pretty unbelievable.
Right. So attempt number 2, and almost certainly failure. Like, I can't really dash as far as I'd like. Because I really would like to be able to dash quite further than I am. Now, I would argue they did not really move a whole landfill. They moved what looks like a top layer of a junkyard at most. See if that guy will fight on our side effectively. So move out of the way and see if we can grab some more health. That worked out somewhat well. I'm having trouble. again. Alright, take control of that guy. You totally need some shield. Like, you cannot seize people in most of these conflicts. You can't take control of the enemies in most of these conflicts because you don't have any kind of armor, you don't have any kind of shield. And while I do have, I guess, and this time enemies aren't spawning in this area, so I guess they decided not to. I wonder if it's kind of random. It might be random. Lag, lag, lag. 3 lags always when running.
Moved the whole landfill here in the middle of New York.
There's basically no way
Nobody
to
saw a
change.
Pretty unbelievable.
I'm having a real hard time getting these guys' health down. And he must be like such a powerful guy that I can't even control him. Because like they definitely were not responding to any of that. So we've got a nice layout here of health. Notice how jumping and flying not helping any. You go. See, there's the penalty there. As soon as you try to take something over, it doesn't work. And yeah, I could increase my seize time, but it's not going to help enough. Seriously. Like, I don't think there's any health that I can even grab here. I think we are in such a bad position. So you can't go for that second shot. I need the charge gun, and I can't craft a charge gun unless I've just somehow picked up enough items. Or we go crazy right now. Like, we could look at that. It might be the case that we could go crazy right now. What do we need? We need exactly, well, 4,700 and some change in one corrupted sample to use that. Where that's just not going to work. So we have no idea as far as construction. So we're going to have to try a different loadout here. And this is probably going to turn into a nightmare. Change the pierce from doing 37% damage while aiming down to the grip. And the grip, last time we used it, barely did anything. Alright, so we have damage after kill 27%, that's not super helpful. Ammo cost 10%. Accuracy 13%, that's something we can't really use. And increased rate of fire times 3, maybe. Headshot damage is not something we really can do. Damage while low health, maybe. Damage 20% in total. Damage against enemy armor 95%. That might be better. Ammo cost when levitating, no. Meanwhile, over here we have a energy evade cost 18% versus an evade cost of 16%, so we can get rid of that. Versus one of 11%, we can get rid of that. Launch energy costs 20%. Well, I'm using launch more than I'm using the recovery. And C speed is not helpful enough, so energy recovery speed plus 31% health. So let's take a moment. Do I think that is better than the Pierce? We'll see. I kind of don't think it is. And then you are just back to this. Something hit me then. How something hit me, I don't know. But something did hit me. Interesting, we didn't get the 3 lags that time. I guess I wasn't moving fast enough.
They moved the whole landfill here in the middle of New York, and nobody saw a thing. Pretty unbelievable.
There's the 3 lags in the middle of the fight. I could have been using the wrong gun at this point. That might be part of my problem. Yeah, this oddly does feel a little bit easier, but is that because the game has taken pity on me, or is that because the game has I've been playing just incredibly badly? If I really have just been playing incredibly badly, that's gonna suck. See, I'm even managing to kind of avoid these guys. Which is strange to say the least.
We should check that lab.
I guess if worse comes to worse, the suggestion here is to change your loadout and go back to your main gun. I felt like the Pierce was doing a much better job in most scenarios, but I guess I'm wrong about that. I'm not sure. Like, what's the logic here of bringing the entire top level of a junkyard / dump to a facility? If the magical projector in any way is affected by the location and not affected by the items that are in the location, that this would be a complete waste of time. There's a whole section up here. So maybe I could have run up here? I'm just gonna try and dash. Things are just getting broken around me based on my dash attack. I'm not hitting them or anything, I'm just around it. Clearly your area of effect of that is way too high. And that just causes more physics to have to be used. And that just causes more GPU processing power to be used. As far as I know, physics does not run on a CPU well at all. So if you do have a lot of physics objects, or objects using physics, one is spelled with an X at the end, which is an NVIDIA copyright. The other is physics, as in the science. TV's in the, well, little lights in the corner for no reason. I think we found everything here that there is to find. So much stuff. So much stuff. And yeah, the tradition of dying 3 times until the game takes pity on you, and then winning and it not being satisfactory continues. I swear I don't think I'm this bad of a game player. I will fully admit I'm not a esports first person shooter type game player. It's not what I'm trying to be, certainly. But I do know and have a decent lifetime's worth of experience of playing first-person shooters, and this does seem harder than I'd like it to be. And I totally would have played this on easy had I been given a choice to select that as an option. And what's the point of reconstructing a dump and then putting an office right next to it? Unless this was an office that actually existed then. Another one of these.
Effective immediately. I'm setting up a new department. Dimensional research in the research sector. Transferring the slide projector there. That's where my focus will be now. The ordinary site remains as is. We'll be back to... I don't know when.
Darling took the projector to the research sector. He dedicated a whole area to it, so he knew it was important. Dimensional research. That's where we go next.
And it sounds like a new group of enemies are outside. And we have all kinds of new loadout things that we just picked up. Let's see. We still need the craft charge more than anything else. And that's going to be a hard thing to accomplish. This is 9% energy versus 15% energy. This is 11% launch energy cost versus 20% launch energy cost. So where we are now shows that there's one area on the other side of the turntable, and yes, there's a fight happening through here. Is there a reason that I really need to fight these guys though? Like, seriously, can I not just escape? So the question is, are the doors blocked or can I just walk through the door? Because if I can just walk through the door, grinding it out and fighting this guy is not something I particularly care to do. I'm trying to move the main story along, and grinding only gets you so far. Yeah, you can just leave. And we'll just run into some lag. I bet we run into 3 lags when we walk right about here. Interesting. Are we going the right direction? I think we are. Yeah, I don't feel like there's another way through this. Or that there would have been another exit out of the dump area. No, I think there actually was an exit out in the dump area. So, lag. So we probably do need to take on this fight area. Although, I'll give it one chance. And if it decides to give me trouble, I will then just fast travel to the next location. The fact that you can do this kind of shenanigans definitely shows that there's a system, that a better system is needed here, where you could choose not to fight things if you wished. Oh, it's so laggy. I don't think I'm running out of hard drive space or anything. Although, in all fairness, this is taking a lot of hard drive space. I had kind of perfect timing when I bought a new SSD and was able to use my old SSD as a system to just put recordings on. And honestly, having a separate location, a separate SSD to record video on anyways would cause a lot of the lagging problems that I ran into before when I'd fill up my original C drive. That just wouldn't happen anymore. So yeah, there is a shortcut here worth taking. The bigger question is there some kind of pickup that I missed? I don't think so. Yeah, when you fill up your C drive that has your operating system on it and your recording software and the game and everything else on it, running out of space becomes a much bigger issue. Alright, so I want to open that section over there, which is the Sterling AWE. And so I'm wondering if I can just press the button here and do that. No. So now I'm at the turntable, and I don't really have an arrow telling me where to go. So can't just break that. Feels like we're gonna have to come back to this area. There's nothing in the ground over here that would go to the Sterling AWE area. So instead they just have me traveling, I guess it's a slightly shorter distance to this. Alright. So we have 4 abilities. What could we improve? Shield barrier. When the shield is released, debris shield projects debris to nearby enemies. I think we need that more than we would need Grand Slam or the increased duration of C's, although I would like to know what that actually does, or the ability to launch humans, or just an increase in energy in general. I would like an increase in energy. It's a little surprising. So do I spend 3 on shield barrage and make shield actually useful, or do I do energy? I think I do energy first because I'm so short on that. As for astral constructions, we are still short on corrupted samples and short on just materials in general. And board consignments, we haven't done any of those, and we probably won't do any of the board, not consignments, but countermeasures. I'm gonna fast travel to the main area first so I can try the new outfit. And then I want to also look at the missions, because like that fridge mission, we should be able to do that, and yet I'm not sure we really can. So clear the clog is in maintenance. We're probably never doing that. This is dimensional research. That's the main story. This is in, I don't even remember what section this is in. Research. It's in a different research section, so we might run into that at some point. The fridge duty is in the containment area, which we're not going there. And this is in maintenance. And where was this? This was in research, mirror testing. Okay. So main mission is finish Tango. Outfits, we now have candidate P7, which we could wear. I guess we can try that. And now fast travel back to research to where we're supposed to be going. It wants me, let's see. There's definitely an area we didn't access in parapsychology, which I don't think I care enough to go and look for. Ritual division, I don't think is the closest. I think central research is probably the closest fast travel location. And I don't know, in any game when you have fast travel should be the easy way for people who are lazy, not the way for people who want to go by default. I feel like, particularly in this area, you would have to go by default using fast travel, because you would have walked to so much menu, like so much of the menu to get to get to this point, and it would have just been random fights for no reason. Luck and probability. So where do we want to go down? Do we want to go... Like, I know in this area in particular there is that area down, and we would have the ability to fly now, so that plays a much better role during this section. Am I going in the right place though, or am I doing a side mission doing this? It would definitely be easier to float down this direction also. So I'm hoping this is a connector to dimensional research, and this isn't putting me in an area that's going in the absolute wrong direction. Although even if this is taking me in the absolute wrong direction, it kind of doesn't matter. But we really haven't gotten any defense or increase in armor, so running into mold creatures still will be the same issue that we ran into before. The only slight difference is we now fight. These are guys who are on our side. Interesting. How did they get down here? When did they get down here? Over here was just a collectible.
Careful in there, man. Area's under quarantine. I wouldn't go in there without talking to Underhill first. Even if you have, I still wouldn't go in.
So,
excuse me.
Is this
Are
Marshall?
you lost?
Or is this a whole new character? Like, a whole nother character that you potentially would not have seen at all? That is crazy. And a whole section that you could easily miss? Let's talk to her.
Do you normally barge into people's private workspaces?
She clearly doesn't know who she's talking to.
Shouldn't you be in a safe room?
Why? Because of those hiss things the Rangers keep going on about. Haven't you people sorted that out yet? The situation down here could spell doom for the Bureau.
You mean this mold?
Correct. Perhaps you could help me.
So we're just going a whole side quest here.
Far too dangerous for me to fetch them myself.
Really? Mold samples? I thought this could spell doom.
It could, and it will, whoever you are. The mold is spreading. We need to find the source before it spreads too far.
And these samples will do that?
No. Samples of 5 unique strains, when blended properly, will allow you to travel deeper into the pit, where I've pinpointed the approximate location of the source of the mold.
Okay. So what do these samples look like?
Similar to the one on my table there. I've made a list of the samples.
The glowing thing?
Here. You'll find them throughout the threshold.
I'll take a look. My name's Jesse, by the way.
I'm sure it is.
So we've moved old growth forward, and we can have these conversations with her, I guess.
Have you worked with Emily Pope?
Our paths have crossed. Darling arranged for us to have a coffee. A meeting of the minds, he called it. She's talented. I can certainly see her doing well here.
I feel like there's a but coming.
But she's drunk a bit too much of the Bureau's proverbial Kool-Aid. She shouldn't be afraid to forge ahead on her own. Science is skepticism. Everything must be questioned before the truth can emerge.
So is Darling
Pointless
your
conversation, pretty much.
If you insist on clinging to such outdated hierarchies, then yes. However, I would argue that our fields are too dissimilar for one to manage the other. Of course, Darling would much prefer to find his own miracle solution to the Bureau's fungal frustrations. He always needs to be the hero.
That might be slightly useful backstory.
So tell me again how you came to work at the Bureau?
Well, like I said, I was brought in as a special advisor. A temporary position, you see.
She didn't say that.
Although that's not the whole truth. I was employed here for a time, straight out of university. After a decade of admittedly fascinating work in threshold research and regulation, I began to chafe under the bureaucracy. I needed a change. Not that academia was so different.
And then the mold happened.
About 4 months ago, yes. Since my departure from the Bureau, they hadn't been able to find my equal in threshold analysis. Darling and I had kept in touch over the years, meeting at conferences and the like. He called me, and I booked a flight.
You send secret
I've never been able to say no to
scientists
a alien biosphere.
to conferences? I guess you
had to leave my
could,
post in
under
the
a
middle of
cover
term, but
story.
So be it.
So she's a professor. That explains a lot.
The mold seems to be having some weird effects on things.
Indeed. Even people are susceptible. The fungus grows rapidly within the chest cavity, killing the host. Luckily, one must ingest the stalks to become infected.
Don't eat the mold. Okay.
We've always cremated the infected bodies after autopsy, but I believe there may be another stage of maturity. A blooming, if you will.
I never thought the word blooming would sound so horrible.
I never thought internal dialogue would be so bad.
Thanks for the information.
This
My
is why
pleasure.
you don't see internal dialogue. So we're going to be looking for these mold things, I guess. And see, this is a threshold side quest that I think is taking me probably in the wrong direction. But we might as well do it. So let's set that as what? Grow near a fresh corpse. These are like items
This work won't finish itself.
that I don't even know where. It's kind of a hidden thing. So it might not be worth even going through this.
It smells so sweet down here. Suddenly I'm really hungry. I wonder how this mold tastes.
Alright. So clearly the spin does not work as well. It's not like the main gun works too well either, though. They both kind of suck against these enemies. Last time we were here, we struggled. We struggled against these kind of enemies. Now I think I could probably throw more items and...
Are those people?
Come on. Where's the guy? Wow. 2 tosses still not good enough to kill people. It's really distracting having so much dialogue in the top left of the screen. I'm half interested in changing the quest just to get rid of that. Alright, so the trick in this will be don't get killed and don't fall to your death. Where is that? Is this area perhaps... Like, I don't even know where this is going to checkpoint me. I wouldn't be surprised if this checkpoints me right back to where I was before. Yeah, well, forget that mission for a moment. Let's see. We want to go a different direction. And luck and probability is the opposite direction, so it's got to be somewhere over here. This would take you to parapsychology, which also is kind of the opposite direction we want to go. The HRA lab would be about the main area we'd want to go. And the map there doesn't really help. Now that we can fly, we could potentially get really high up, but I don't know how much that's gonna help anything. Yeah, I just went kind of full circle there. I don't think I can move past this part. So I'm gonna have to fight these guys if I want to go that direction. And almost certainly that is the direction I need to go. So, worst case scenario. It would be nice if Polaris pointed me in the direction I need to go more often. It doesn't seem like it can. Like, unless the left bump holding the left bump or the right bump does that, and I'm just not realizing that that's the case. This was a direction. This is like the elevator. We can go there. And the ritual division is blocked. Was there was a way to get to the ritual division. But this shortcut is just like permanently blocked, it seems. I was gonna take control of that guy, but I didn't move fast enough. So it seems like it's just him. Launch is pretty slow. And at any point this guy could decide to just unload on me with a with his machine gun. There we go. I'm getting more damage done to me than what I collected. Just wait for these guys' life to go down, and then they should die, and then they should turn into dust. This is dimensional research. Alright, we found the right way to go for the main story. Odd that the alarm for the metal detector A starts the door opening and B goes off when detecting metal. I would think the one thing that this gun in particular would not be would be metal.
Possibly changing labyrinth. It never passed through. Dimensional research. Every measure of security.
So we get another hotline video. Wow, now we have a completely different looking environment too. Why are we so late into the game seeing this? I mean, this doesn't look like just the oceanfront hotel. No.
Contact the janitor if you need to get through.
Broken? How many dead ends can this place have? We need to find Ati.
So we're gonna have to go back to the maintenance section, I guess. I mean, that doesn't look too broken. There's a lot of cigarette machines and iconic objects that you wouldn't see otherwise. That's the way back. I'm just randomly walking around. I've heard people complain that some of the puzzles feel like you just kind of walk around and until you solve it. This is a prime example of that, where yeah, it is just walking around until you solve the puzzle. But you can see the building, the furniture is getting knocked over more and more. It feels like we're going in circles now. Yeah. So yeah, it doesn't seem like you can actually make it through here without going to the maintenance janitor's office. And let's see. This is called the ashtray maze, which probably is a hint as far as how you solve the maze. I think the area in the top left of this map we may never ever see. Clearly we've got to do the stuff on the right side of the map. But if we look at the fast travel and look at the other areas, there's just that nostalgic department that's on the far right, the furthest right part in the executive office, which is almost certainly the final boss fight. For maintenance, we're going to the janitor's office, but I don't think that's going to push us all the way to the left where the Blackrock Quarry is so that we could fly up there and find that collectible. Nor am I 100% certain that it would get us down to where the lower right question marks are. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see any of that either. We were in the research division and we chose not to do the mold quests. Almost certainly we will have to do the mold quest eventually, because they'll have some hallway that is just infected with the mold. But it's weird, to say the least, that you could skip over what feels like a major part of the section of the gameplay and really not do anything to help that. I'm also kind of skipping over the Percepticon quest, which seems like something I should do, and the Sterling AWE area, which is the question marks in the middle of the map for containment. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4 floors. I don't think there are any other floors. We are still trying to get enough points where we can build the charge gun, which I'm hoping is a big game changer. And I could abandon some of these countermeasures, but they're all executive incursion countermeasures, and I think they're just all going to be executive incursion countermeasures for some weird reason. Meanwhile, we have this gun that is giving us items. We're getting more mods, and the more mods are giving us more stuff, but we really are just getting into a looter-shooter style mentality. Again, this game feels like they, at the last second, abandoned the idea of microtransactions, but they were totally setting up to have microtransactions in this. There's no reason that this should have been in a game like this if it was not mandated by some greedy executive at some publishing, at the behest of their publisher, or maybe the top management at the developer. I don't even really know who to blame, but there clearly was some greed in the decisions that were made there. We have C speed level 3 versus C speed plus 70, so we can get rid of that, and that's pretty much it. We're still trying to collect these things. We've seen a clearance level 9, but I wouldn't be surprised if actually there's only clearance level 6. I'm surprised that there even is a clearance level 6. We could try to do this quest and clear the clog while we're in maintenance. I also think that these guys are in maintenance, aren't they? They're all in maintenance in different parts. So there's that side mission maybe would get done, maybe wouldn't. So we could think about doing those, but more than likely I'm just trying to push the main story forward. Like, I don't even care about these side stories like this at this point, because this game is just dragging on so much. Meanwhile, speaking of dragging on, there's just an ever increasing amount of dialogue and text here. Text that's unimportant. I really have to question how you can pay people to write this stuff. My only guess is you had a writer, and because you had a writer, there was a certain number of things you asked him to write, and just to keep him employed and keep him busy. Because writers, I guess their job is pretty separate from game development, and so if you want to keep them working all the way from the beginning of development, say 2 years before, 4 to 6 years before you release the game, to potentially all the way to the point where it's released, you would have to have them write a bunch of stuff. Typically writers get hired as contract workers, and they're not hired until a year before it's released, maybe 2 years before it's released. And yeah, I just do not put any value on this text stuff. If you can't write this so that a voice actor voices it, if you can't tell it environmentally with the placement of objects or with the placement of people, I don't care. I don't need a companion book or companion instruction manual for a AAA adult game like this. And there's way more text here than what you would have ever gotten for like an NES game instruction manual. And none of it's very in depth, which Skyrim at least had that going for it. Like, each book was at least a dozen pages, it felt like, so if you did want to get into it, you would actually be able to enjoy it more than reading what often here is 3/4 of a page, half a page of text that is so unconnected to everything else. And some of the Skyrim books were different volumes, so you'd have like volume 1 of a story and then volume 2 and volume 3. So you could actually settle down and have a reading experience, where in this game you would have had to either have a save file that has all the collectibles so you could read everything at once, or collect all the collectibles and then read everything. Neither of those are particularly intriguing options. I'm a little surprised that there wasn't more advertisement for this game, because you could have certainly had sections and scenes of the game shown as trailers, as teasers, but that's not even what they showed at E3. They barely showed any of the mystery and the story stuff, and mostly showed the flying around fighting the Hiss gameplay stuff, which is pretty much the worst part. Interesting. Nothing stops the music from playing. We never really got an explanation as to who is watching, by the way. Who knows if that's copyrighted music, by the way. well, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.